Hello, Miracles. This is Chad with Chad R Recovery. Just wanted to do something a little different today. I'm doing a video to talk about recovery, and I invited a special guest host with me today. It's my wonderful wife and also health coach, Coach Annie, is joining me today. We're going to talk about early recovery. We're going to talk about tips for dealing with depression, anxiety, and early recovery, how to maintain a positive attitude, how to navigate the journey of recovery. Um, it's a beautiful weekend. I'm happy to be able to do this. I started this channel I don't know, it's been about a month ago now, and I've just trying to spread positive mindset and motivation to navigate this thing. It's tough, it's a journey. Um, I started my recovery journey about almost coming up on 2.5 years ago, and it's been one of the most amazing and also most difficult things I've ever done in my life. It's been an amazing experience, and I just want to share that with the world and try to touch people and help people grow and help people find that motivation and that love and drive for life that I have. Just want to introduce again my lovely wife and also health coach, Coach Annie. Welcome.
Hi, I am Coach Annie. You can find me at coach.annie on Instagram and Annie Ritkers on Facebook. I have been in the health arena for 12 years. I was a nurse. I'm not practicing as a nurse anymore. I am practicing as a health coach. My current specialty is in women's health and menstrual health, but I have interests in many other places as well. I am a mom of 4 kids. Very busy lifestyle, so I get the constant need to keep up with everything. And
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So you've been with me been married to me for 10 years, and grew up around addiction. So, and even in the hospitals working as a nurse, you kind of tended to gravitate towards the recovering and struggling addicts, the addicts that would come in to the hospital with certain ailments and stuff. You kind of gravitated towards those, and even your coworkers would kind of push you towards
they
those
would lean
people.
on me. Yeah. I am not an addict myself. I am an alien or a normie. But I have always felt comfortable around addicts. And I say that because growing up, I had no idea that the people that I was spending time with were addicts. And then I married 2 of them, and I just find that they, it's, I don't know what pulls me towards them. It just feels comfortable. When I was working in the hospital, I had many addicts that would be staying inpatient because of a lot of heart infections, because of their drug of choice, or kidney failures because of their drug of choice and what it would be doing to them. And I would spend all of my extra time with those people, just holding space. And the first thing, so I know that any addict in the hospital, they felt, I could see it on their face, they felt judged, and they felt like the other guy. And when the professionals walked into the room, they, strong jaw, sit up straight, talk with your big voice, puff your chest out. I watched it all. And I would walk in and I would see that happen, and I would just kind of hit them right in the heart with an arrow. And I would say, listen, I am married to an addict in recovery. I grew up around addicts, and I lost my brother a few years ago from addiction. So if you want to talk to me, it can stay between us. I can sit and listen. I see that you're struggling, And a lot of times when I would give them that vulnerability in me, they would become vulnerable and they would just pour it all out. I've sat in the room with many addicts, just kind of, I watched the breakdown. I watched them. I would always offer, my husband Chad always made available to me the meeting Zoom passwords and IDs, and I would give that to these people in the hospital. I don't know if they ever went to the Zoom meetings, but I always made that available. I would print materials off for them because that you got to find somebody to print that stuff for you. It's not available in the hospital that I was working at. And then I would have coworkers that would have addicts as patients, and they would come to me and say, hey, can you go and spend some time with this person there? And I mean, there are nurses that are very biased, and they would say they're getting on my nerves, or they're not cooperating with me, they're not doing what I'm asking them to do.
Addiction still has that stigma around it, especially in an established environment like a hospital.
Yeah, it was tough. I was always an advocate for the patient, whether they were an addict or a 90-year-old woman or a 20-year-old person.
I love that. Let me back up here. So I want to go through my journey a little bit in early recovery. So I made the decision to change my life on June 20th of 2021. That was Father's Day. And that day, thank God, because it was painful enough and memorable enough so that I'll never forget it, and I'll never change it. With the grace of God. It was really, really tough. I had so many things going on, so many emotions and feelings, and there's that guilt, shame, and remorse that comes with leading a life, doing a lot of things the wrong way, lying, cheating, stealing. Many of us that struggle with addiction know that feeling when we first get clean and try something different, that those feelings are fresh, right? All the lying that we did and the cheating and the stealing to support our habits. We may have a new way that we're trying things, and we may be doing right today, but some of us struggle with those memories of the years and years and decades for some of us of lying and doing the wrong things. That stuff can linger and it can hang around, and I know that very well. And I remember I do belong to a 12-step fellowship, and I remember, of course, here in the middle of COVID, I was going to Zoom meetings a lot. A lot of the 12-step fellowship meetings that I went to weren't operating in person. It was on Zoom. So Andy remembers this. Around 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the evening, I would take my phone and I would go and start walking. And I walked and walked and walked. And I didn't know it at the time, but my body wanted to be outside in nature. I didn't know that at the time. But so I would go to these Zoom meetings, and I would just go to the park and walk around the trail. And I would be speaking up and sharing about my story, in these meetings. And it kind of just was up and down. One day I'd be on top of the world. I'm feeling great. I finally, busted out of addiction. I can do this. And then the next day something would come up, because there was just so much that happened over the course of almost 2 decades in active use. Some type of memory would come up, or Annie would bring something up, or I would have to confront something that came as a result of my using. And then I would be back down, and then the next day or the next week, I'd back up. And I remember going to treatment. I did intensive outpatient treatment. They talked about that. The first 90 days are really going to be, tough dealing with those. You're going to have a wide range of feelings and emotions. And man, I really did feel that. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, what are some tips and maybe even your observations of what I went through in the first 60, 90, 120, 180 days of recovery, what are some tips that you might have to offer to the people to help get through some of that anxiety and that depression and those feelings?
Well, I love that you use the words that you felt called out into nature. Humans are meant to be in nature. We are meant to be outside as much as possible. I mean, so serotonin is the happy hormone, right? And that's what we need boosted. That's what drugs used to provide for you. And when you go outside, visually looking around at nature can boost your serotonin. Being in the sunshine, it's going to boost your vitamin D, and vitamin D boosts your serotonin. I would say to help quiet the thoughts, because I know that early in recovery there's a lot of racing thoughts and you cannot still your mind and everything is just pulling you and it's crazy. So I would recommend to experiment with what brings you joy. Try some different hobbies. Try hanging out with different people. Maybe even go and spend some time with family that you haven't seen in a long time. I understand that addiction could lead to some strains on relationship with your family, but maybe that's even a time to just go and talk about that stuff. I know that there is a time and place for that, but your family, well, I guess not everybody's family. I've seen some pretty harsh family, but find people that lift you up, even if it's spending time with addicts that have had more recovery. Watch your diet. Don't eat junk. The junk is not going to boost your serotonin or boost your moods.
Yeah. We'll touch on that too as well. But what about meditation? What kind of meditation tips do you have? Or
so meditation, I would say that would be difficult if you're going to do any meditation, because meditation is about mind stilling. And when you're just starting off, if you're doing any meditation, I would recommend looking up guided meditation, where you have a voice that is telling you what to do. I would recommend doing some different breathing techniques. There are millions out there. My favorite is belly breathing, where you straighten your posture, whether you're laying down or sitting up. And I always recommend putting your hands on your belly so you can feel your belly get bigger, and you pull the air right into your belly, and you do it slow, and then you exhale. There's also box breathing, and it's called box breathing just because of the image that you would have in your head while you're breathing. So you breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and hold for a count of 4. There is progressive relaxation. I recommend doing that while lying down, but you start with your toes and you squeeze your toes as hard as you can for a count of 3 to 5, and then let go, and it's just a tension release from your toes all the way up to your face.
Okay. That's awesome stuff. I remember, guys, I was on here talking about the exaggerated breaths. That's what Annie's talking about, the belly breaths, where you just fill your gut up and you breathe in. We were talking about the 10 exaggerated breaths in the morning, 10 to 20 exaggerated breaths. I try to start every single morning out, and I try to do it with fresh air, like outside. 10 to 20 exaggerated belly breaths are all right. But I prefer it in nature. I suggest that try to get in nature while you're doing it. It gets the fresh air. So good stuff. Something else I wanted to talk about as well, especially in the 30, 60, 90, 120, just really early recovery. So in active addiction, we tend to be very hard on our dopamine and serotonin receptors. Us addicts, right? Even the energy drinks, all these other supplements, at least for me, I would get into those to try to get that serotonin, that dopamine back where it was when I was using. So it went up and up and up, and my tolerance went up and up and up. So then when you take all the stuff that stimulates the serotonin and dopamine receptors, you're left with, low production of that. So I wanted to get into some of the things that you might suggest to promote natural dopamine and serotonin processes.
Well, I know how much addicts love their energy drinks, but I do recommend staying away from caffeine. I know that addicts are addicts because they have this addictive personality, and you trade one thing for another. And maybe find yourself addicted to blueberries. Blueberries are super high in antioxidants, and they're going to boost your serotonin and dopamine. Walnuts are amazing for the brain. The omegas that they have in them stimulate the brain activity and just help those neurons fire the way that they're supposed to and develop the dopamine and serotonin, the happy chemicals. Fiber, you got to get your fiber. Just keeping, and that's to make sure your fiber is meant to soak up all of the bad chemicals and the bad bacteria and the toxins in your body and then move it out through your gut. So you want to make sure that you're having plenty of fiber so that you can soak up all of the crap. And I don't mean just the crap that you're putting in your body, but also when you're thinking negative thoughts, that produces toxins in your body that you need to get rid of. So even just negative stimuli that is not going in your mouth can produce toxins in your body. Absolutely any fruit or vegetable, all plants are going to be good for you. There are none that are going to hurt you. I'm trying to think. Good fats, avocados, salmon, ginger and turmeric, the anti-inflammatory stuff, that's going to help a lot. I said blueberries, but really every single berry is amazing.
A lot of antioxidants.
Yeah.
So I know I had to make a lot of changes when I first got into recovery. I know I added a lot of the walnuts in. Something else I've had to do, and this is just basically overall trying to be a little more healthy, was include the prebiotics and probiotics into my diet. I, even with some time clean in recovery, not using any substances, in January of this year. So coming up on a year ago, I had some really bad gut issues, severe. It was really rough for about a month by the time I got back to normal. And I noticed that I had to start taking better care of my gut. And something that happens, at least for me, I get well, and then habits and routines start to slip away. Like I slip back into my old way of doing things, and I've had to kind of start to take a look at that again. And I did add chia seeds, flax seeds in. I try to have kombucha brew to try to get those probiotics and prebiotics back into my body. Just trying to overall take care of my well-being. Those are some things that you guys can focus on just for overall wellness. And then Annie touched on the other stuff for dopamine, serotonin.
I would like to say something about the probiotics and prebiotics. I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot to even mention that. There's just so much. Yeah. So the probiotics, for those of you that don't know, a lot of it is in fermented foods. You find it in yogurt, in kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles. Anything that's fermented is going to have probiotics. And what probiotics are, they are good bacteria that you are putting into your gut. So when you purchase these items from the store, you want to make sure that it says live or fermented on the packaging, because you want to put the living stuff in. It's the good bacteria that's in your gut. The prebiotics, that's the food for the probiotics. Bananas, chia seeds, just high fat foods, healthy fats are good prebiotics. And then the polyphenols, that is what is going to create the amazing environment for the good bacteria to live in. Polyphenols, my favorite polyphenol is grapes. Period.
Nice.
And grape juice.
Okay. Just adding on to that, one last thing about the serotonin and dopamine, I recommend some sort of exercise. I recommend that for you guys. Even if it's 20 or 30 minutes of lightweight training, like a brisk walk out in nature. I tend to do both sometimes, where the gym that I work out in, I will do a set, work out with some free weights, and then just start walking around the building for a few minutes in between sets, just being out in nature. I have noticed for me that, and I made a video about this the other day, something I can do to restart my day if I've had a rough start to my morning. It's I come in at 8, 9, 10 o'clock and there's a lot going on, or I just don't feel it. I go outside and I just walk around for a few minutes and I do the breaths, guys, the exaggerated breaths, just get that natural environment in, just like that for a few minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes, to try to restart the day. Get those breaths in. But guys, exercise, do something, stay active, and if you can, do it in nature. So the last thing I wanted to touch on today was, this is something we've had conversations about, is something I've had to work on a lot myself, and I see some of the benefits, is the power of positive thinking, the positive mindset. And really, guys, this is what my whole channel is based on, just trying to be positive, have that mindset, and motivated to be well and be happy and peaceful and free. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite here and say that I've got it down. I struggle with it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm perfect and that I'm always happy. I wanted to share my journey, not necessarily struggle, but my journey of loving myself a little more and being happy and being in the moment and enjoying the little things in life. And even when things are tough, coming to realize that I've got things to be grateful for. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about just having a positive mindset, doing affirmations or something to, find that love for myself. Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you got?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind, I feel like you've mentioned it on here, is the I love yous. You say I love you to yourself in the mirror, and you gotta love yourself. You have to find a way to forgive yourself for anything that you're holding on to, and just accept what happened and move on and give yourself love, because you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve to be loved, and you deserve to pamper yourself and love yourself. Man, I was on a roll, and now there was something else that I wanted to.
How about
I just had a brain fart.
How about self-care, like having a routine in the mornings? Even something as simple as getting up in the morning and going and getting a shower, and brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth, or combing your hair, shaving, having that routine. That's self-care. Getting up in the morning. Some people, Annie was outside with a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise yesterday morning. Having a routine that your body can find benefit from. That's love. That's being positive. That's treating your body well. Some people, especially for me in the active addiction, like I took my body for granted. I took every physical aspect. I just didn't care. I wanted to feed substances into my body to drown out those negative emotions and feelings. But I try now not to take things for granted, because this is temporary. I have to be positive and enjoy the moment, be good to myself. What are some routines or something that we can do self-care wise and love ourselves?
Just like you said, taking care of yourself. When you get up in the morning, you may not feel like making your bed, but make the bed. When you get up in the morning, you may not feel like putting away, the pile of clothes that are on your dresser. Put them away. Take care of yourself. Take care of your bedroom. Take care of your home, because that's going to put you in a better mind space. Mm-hmm. Visual clutter creates mental clutter. And it creates this list of, I got to get to that, and I got to get to that, and I got to do that. But when everything's clean, it allows you to find some peace. Mm-hmm. I should have been taking notes, because what I was going into was the power of positive thinking. Mm-hmm. When something happens, I had a hard time with spirituality myself, and I'm finally in a good place with it. when something terrible happens, if I am ready to go to a concert and a family emergency pops up, and depending on the results of this family emergency, I might not be able to go to a concert. I have a hard time when plans change, and I was instantly upset, but I found myself, what can I learn from this experience? And where am I needed most? My family needs me most. That concert, that would have been really fun to go to, but right now in this moment, I don't know what's going to happen, if I'm going to go to the concert or not, but I need to be here for my family. And in other situations, I like to think, what is there to learn from this? What lesson do I need to learn from this? Because this sucks. What do I need to learn? Or I try to find the silver lining, because there is always a silver lining. There is always a positive to the situation. It's the duality, the law of duality, that for every good there is bad, for every bad there is good, the yin and yang, all of it. I also want to put out there about giving the benefit of the doubt to your fellow man and woman. When someone cuts you off on the road, I used to have bad road rage. When someone cuts me off on the road, I used to get really pissed. I used to come around them, try and speed up and cut them off, because they cut me off and they deserve it. But now I've cut people off. Not even when I was angry, but sometimes when I was just rushing to work, or I was rushing to pick up my kids, or I needed to be at somewhere at a certain time and I had to keep a schedule. And I pretend that I know what that person's going through in order to give them compassion. Because
compassion, that's a good one.
Maybe they are being a jerk. Maybe they cut everybody off on their way to go buy a ice cream cone. But that's not really my business. Whatever it is that they're doing, I need to protect my peace. I need to protect my space. And if I allow them to make me angry, I'm giving them control over my emotions.
Not only that, but we don't know what somebody else is going through.
Well, I was going into that too. Them cutting you off and you're on your way to work and you're late. Maybe they just found out that a family member died. Maybe they just experienced some trauma that they're trying to get through. Maybe a piano just dropped on their life, or the rug was pulled out from under their feet, and something happened that just jolted their system, and they have no control over themselves.
Right. We never know what somebody else is going through, what battles those people are fighting. We just don't know. And in that moment, all that person might have need is a little love or compassion. Recently I had posted a short or a video, and somebody commented like, "Man, bro, I really, really needed that. Thanks." And I mean, this is why I do that. Like, somebody was there for me and had that video or somewhere in person and said just the right thing and showed me some love, some compassion, some understanding, some positivity right when I needed it the most. And that's one of the reasons I can sit here and talk to you guys today about positivity and motivation, and where I've been and where I'm going. And I that's just my goal, my calling, is to try to pass that forward and be positive, right? I've been through some things, I've seen some things, and people that struggle with addiction, that find recovery, have survived against all odds. Like, we have defied logic. Us that have battled addiction and find some sort of recovery and are clean and abstinent from substances today, we statistically aren't supposed to make it, but we do, and it's a miracle. That's why I start my videos out and say good morning miracles, because we are. What's that?
Do you want to mention the miracle that we just found out about a couple days ago? Someone that's a recovering addict that is in a very good
Yeah. Annie, that's interesting. Annie sent me an Instagram video talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Not to get too much into a political space, but I was shocked to find out that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running for president as an independent. Battled with addiction and has been in recovery for a long time now. And
30 or 40 years.
he shares his story a lot of what he went through, and just his thoughts and views and how he's overcome things. And obviously, we know where he's at now, but man, just with some positive thinking, doing things for yourself, loving yourself, finding a positive outlook, finding some sort of program that works for you. So whether it be meditation and healthy eating and exercise, whether it be a 12-step fellowship, whether it be finding that mantra like I love you, telling yourself that I love you in the mirror every single morning, and practicing some exaggerated breaths and just doing the best that you can today. Guys, that's all we need to worry about, because tomorrow, the old cliche saying, tomorrow's not guaranteed. We only have today. So why not try to make today as best as possible? What's the point of being miserable? I've heard people say, I didn't get clean to be miserable. That's 100% true. Like, why would you want to be in a negative space and hate yourself when there's such a beautiful place out there and so many things to be grateful for and a wonderful life to live, especially as a recovering addict? You are a miracle. I'm a miracle. I wasn't supposed to be here, but I am. And, I have the ability to spread that love and that motivation forward. So that's why we did this, and that's why I'm here. I feel like that's my mission in life, is to share a little bit about what I've gone through and spread some positivity and motivation out there that you can do this. And it's got to be one day at a time. We've got to find something to be grateful for and find somebody to help. So any final thoughts, closing thoughts, anything that you want to share about, any observations?
There is one thing that I did forget to say when I should have brought a notepad or something to take notes for the thoughts. So back to the power of positive thinking. January is coming up for those New Year's resolutions. And in 2018 and 2019, I didn't make New Year's resolutions. I made, I thought in hashtags. I made that because it was just impactful for me. So I came up with a theme of the year. In 2018, it was hashtag not my problem. And that sounds harsh, but when someone would come to me and they would tell me about the terrible things that are happening in their life, I used to feel that with them, and then it would bring me down. And even after I left their presence, I would go home and sit there and think, oh my God, I feel so bad for them. I feel so bad for them. And I'd be stuck in this space, but it's not my problem. I can be there and listen to what they have to say, and then leave that space I can hold space for them, and then leave that space and go back to my home. And I'm allowed to be happy, and I'm allowed to let that be their problem, and it doesn't have to become mine. So that was really helpful for me. And then in 2019, it was no stress or less stress. And it was whatever option was less stressful. And that allowed me to let go of a lot of the stress in my life. And what I am leading up to is I didn't do any for 2020, 21, or 22, or 23. Those were some hellish years. You guys know about it. Just COVID, and there were other events that had happened personally in the family. There was some deaths, and it just made it really hard. Anyway, so for 2024, my personal mantra, theme of the year that I'm going to be going by is find the growth. Find growth. Where can I grow from this? In any situation, I'm going to be reminded, and that's my mantra of the year, is just finding growth.
I love that.
Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. This is really exciting for me.
Yeah, it was great. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. Finding growth, man. I love that as a closing thought. That's how positive can we be with that? Even in a difficult situation. As a matter of fact, mostly in difficult situations, we find an opportunity that we either grow or we go back. In those most difficult, trying situations, present the best opportunities to find a way to adapt, find a way to grow, find a way to do something different with our lives. That's what it's all about. That's how you grow. Finding ways to grow. I love that. Guys, well, miracles. We're miracles here. Go find something to be grateful for. Go find something that brings you joy today. Go find somebody to help. It's still the weekend. This video may not get uploaded until tomorrow or the next day, but hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, subscribe, like, share with somebody that might need some positive thinking in their lives, and leave some comments. Let me know what you thought. Let us know what you thought. Maybe we
anything
can.
else you want us to discuss?
Yeah,
Or
if
any
you got
questions?
any questions or concerns or anything you'd like to hear more about, comment. Like, subscribe, share it, and Annie, Coach Annie, thank you for joining today. Appreciate all the advice and the tips. And guys, have a good day. We will see you on the next one.